Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are on day 5 of the Art by Marlene Advent calendar. Sorry, I had to think about what day we're in. Anyway, today we got this cute little teacup stencil, and the first thing I saw was stripes. It is stripy, and my mind immediately went to black and white stripes. I was so excited about the black and white stripes. I really wanted to use stripes, but in the end I changed my mind, and I'm happy that I did. Okay, I pulled out this little mermaid from the Golden Oldies collector's book, because I thought I had this idea of a girl coming out of a teacup, because when I saw this teacup, the other thought that popped into my head is that quote that says, "You may not be everybody's cup of tea, but that's because they don't have good taste," or something along those lines. I found a similar one in Marlene's sticky quote book, so that was what I was going for. Okay, I went in with yellow paint first, spreading it all across both my pages to connect the two pages, because they are actually separate pages. And then I went in with orange. Can you believe it? And also pink. So the pink mixed a little bit too much with the yellow that was on my brush, and I couldn't get a true pink. I didn't like the way that pink sat over the top of the yellow. So I just went in with some fluorescent pink paint as well, and it just acts as a filter over the top just to brighten that pink. And as you can see, that's very effective. Okay, so I thought, as a base of my idea of having this girl popping out of a teacup, is I will stencil in the whole teacup and all of the florals, and then I will work from there. So I've got that there in white, and then I'm going in and I'm extending the flowers with paint. First I tried with a stencil, but it didn't work so well for me. So I'm extending those florally bits with paints. First, just a base layer of pink, and you'll see later I'm going to go in with greens for the leaves and all the greenery. And I'm going to add highlights and shadows with different pinks and greens. And I'm just basically trying to build up my layers to look arty and like an adult human did it, not a preschooler. So at this stage, I was not sure how this page was going to go, or how I was going to manage to get the idea that's in my head onto paper. I think the pressure of the camera being on sometimes gets to my head, and I'm trying to organize my thoughts. But the more I try and organize them, the more I'm going haywire with my ideas. So there was a lot of faffing about with this page. I am very happy with the way it turned out, but while I was doing it, I wasn't too sure. You can let me know what you think. Yeah, I'd be interested to know if you have any ideas of how you could have maybe had done it better or different. So first I grabbed an extra little tag that I had, and I thought, okay, I'm going with black and white stripes. So I stenciled my teacup in black, cutting it out. I've added some highlights just to separate the cup from the saucer. And I'm also cutting that little bit between the handle and the cup, so you can still see the background through that. And that looked okay, but I wasn't obsessed with it. So I'm just trimming off the excess around my girl, which for now she's a mermaid, but she won't be a mermaid for very long. She'll be, I don't know, a teacup person, a teacup girl. Okay, here's where I changed my mind. So I went off camera and I stenciled that same teacup on a piece of transparency paper with white. I set that aside to dry, because obviously I can't use my heat tool on the transparency paper for too long. It will melt and buckle. So I'm just working on my background while that dries to the side. I grabbed out this cute little stencil from last year's advent calendar and just added some white. And now I'm going in with mark making. Orange again, can you believe it? And pink. I do find I really like the look of orange with pink. So for now, I think if orange does appear on my page, it's very likely going to be with pink. And all the while I'm faffing with the foliage around the teacup. I'm going in with my Life of Color pens. These are actually the dot pens, but they've got a really fine nib on one side. So they're great for adding little details. Going in with white highlights. And there's my little teacup. So this wasn't quite dry yet, so I was very careful with cutting it out and not touching the paint. But I'm an impatient crafter, so there was no way that I was going to wait a couple of hours for this to dry. I just kind of made it happen. Okay, I think off screen I cut her tail off. Yes, I did. Just so she can fit on that page a little bit better. And when I put that teacup, the transparency teacup over the top, I thought, oh, it doesn't have any depth. So I'm just adding my Stabilo All pencil and just creating a shadow behind the teacup. Adding more flowers. There's a lot of faffing about with the flowers in this video. I don't really want to cut out my mistakes or my, I guess, experimenting, because I think it's good for people to see that some pages are a struggle, and if you just keep pushing through, you will get there in the end and you will create something that you like. So I like leaving it in. I also really like it when other creators leave their mistakes in, so I can learn from them. So hopefully you can learn from me. Okay, her hair was taking up a bit too much space, so I just trimmed off a tiny bit. Just so that flower that I did that's going to be popping up behind her head would have a little bit more to show there. And then I decided, okay, to tie the two pages together, let me stencil those florals on the little stencil all over the page. So I'm extending the floral theme throughout the two pages. Just refining the edges of my teacup, adding more stripes. And I think it's about here where I decided, okay, I'm just going to stick it down and then work with what I've got from there. Because I find if I and ah too much, I find it really hard to make a decision. So sometimes it's just better to just get it down and then it's there and then I work with it. I'm sticking the transparency sheet down with double-sided tape. I'm not putting it onto the sheet itself because the paint is still wet. And so I'm sticking it onto the paper. And luckily I had those stencil lines there already, so I used that as a guide. Now I'm going in with more Stabilo All pencil, and I'm just adding some shadow onto the cup and saucer. For the most part, when I used my Stabilo All pencil for this page, I actually just wet my brush and then dabbed it onto the tip of the pencil just to lift off a little bit of that inkiness from the pencil, because otherwise I felt it was going to get too dark. I'm going to be too heavy-handed and it's going to be quite difficult to control. Then I realized I didn't cut off the bubbles. I guess I could have left her there because she's coming out of a cup of bubbling tea, but I didn't feel like it was working. And I'm just covering up where I cut her bubbles off with extra paint pens. And I'm also going over the existing lines there with black and white. And I've got this Faber-Castell neon pink paint pen as well. And I just added some brightness to her hair with that. It really made her hair pop. I love this girl's hair. I wish I had purple and pink hair. I'm waiting for my hair to go grey, and then one day when they're grey, I'll be going with purple and pink hair. It's my ultimate goal in life. And just some more shadowing with that Stabilo oil pencil. I wanted her to be a bit separated from the flowers in the background, so she looks like she's in front of the flowers and not just blending in with the flowers. Okay, and I think now I'm going to start adding my quote, and the quote is, "It is okay if they don't like you. Not everybody has good taste." So it's the same thing as what was in my head when I had the initial idea of a teacup. I couldn't find anything that said teacup in Marlene's book, so I just made do with this one, and I really like it. I like how it sat on the page, and I'm also adding a little bit of a shadow underneath each of those strips. Drying it off. I am being careful when I'm drying off because obviously I've got the transparency sheet there. I don't want that to get messed up. And then I decided I need a little bit more grunge on this page. So I'm going into Marlene's texture stamps again, and this is called Journaling Deco. And I found this leafy one. Just added some leaves, and then I added another one. There's actually a similar stencil from last year that's got the same design. And I'm just adding it around the edges so your eye is drawn into that center part where it's quite bright. And then I'm going to go around my page again with my Stabilo oil pencil, and I'm just going to smudge it out with my finger. So it's a subtle little darkness around the edges. Just to draw the eye into that bright center. And some mark making with Marlene's acrylic pen. I'm just dabbing that nib down onto the paper. And then I thought I was done, but I remembered I had some sparkly paint, and then I added sparkles to her hair. And that's about it for this page. I really love how this page had turned out in the end. I think it's quite a fun and pretty page. I love how those colors play together and sync together. I'm really happy that I started making friends with orange. Please subscribe to my videos, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.